Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are continuing with our weekly shir on Rabbeinu Moshe Chaim Letzatos Chusio Ganalenu's Adir BaMarom, his parish on the Ijer Rabbah, and we're continuing with the same sugya that we've been in, ultimately, which is the secret emergency situation where Bina awakens a space within Malchus for us to find refuge, a city of refuge, the Ir Miklat, the Tevas Noach, the Ma'ara of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Sefer HaZohar, the place that Moshe Rabbeinu ran away to, the place that Yaakov Avinu runs away to, each and every place that a person, that a Yid runs away to in the need for the emergency safety that is induced by the deep awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light in that place, in the secret of Bina that expresses herself down directly to Malchus, not the typical order of Bina to Zer Anpin through Malchus, which gets domesticated in its kind of situatedness within the systems of orderly spiritual awareness. The secret of Bina that's mashpia down to Malchus in case of emergency awakens a different type of situation, a brecha. It represents a running away, a momentary point of being saved that brings me to a place of profound spiritual clarity, profound awareness of the depths of self, in spite of the fact that it hasn't been developed in accordance with the necessary stages of work and birurim and clarification and the effort and the choice and the volitional nature of all of it, which is the true mark of experience. The true mark of experience is the yitzia, moving out of things one step at a time in accordance with our best selves, developing real, authentic relationships with ourselves through each and every step and process, connecting to the mitzvos, to the Torah, refining the self over and over. But that process that comes about by way of Zar Anpin, being mashpia down to Malchus in the typical order of things, means that the outside is working somewhat functionally. But when the outside is not working and when there's a dysfunction that is unleashed upon the world, so in moments like that, in moments of great sorrow, where the Sitra Achra Kavyachol is rising, and it seems that there's a concealment that maybe, God forbid, in the back of a person's mind, in that chashash of the Sitra Achra that the Ramchal describes, maybe, just maybe, this negativity is actually going to a place higher than we assume it's going to go to, and perhaps it's going to be revealed to be something more powerful than we know it to be. And that fear of the Sitra Achra and the concealment rising upwards in a place of Hester and Hastara, where the typical functioning of things does not take place, causes an emergency type situation where a person has to tap back into that secret of the brecha, of that running away. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu ran away, Kibarach Ha'am, Paro says that was told that Kibarach Ha'am, they ran away in the past, because Moshe Rabbeinu represents the totality of Klal Yisrael. Just as the tzaddikim carry the totality of Klal Yisrael upon themselves, so too Moshe Rabbeinu is that paradigmatic point within the heart of each and every Yid, within the mind of each and every Yid, that das of Moshe that still has to enter into Eretz Yisrael, that runs away, and it's as if all of us ran away. So there's an amazing thing that the Ramchal is revealing, and like we said, it's in line with the Torah's Chacham, that typically speaking, these emergency escapes, these momentary jumps into transcendence, this Ir Mikla type experience, the Tevas Noach type experience, doesn't actually get rid of the negativity. It just creates a Hine Makom Iti. It creates a safe space, but the negativity is still raging on the outside, and that's necessarily going to bring me back to consciousness where I realize, oh, I haven't really done the work yet. And so typically those immediate gains, just like Leil Pesach, where it seems like everything has come, it suddenly departs again, and it leaves us barren with the awareness that we have to work and through effort and labor develop a real relationship with those levels. But we know from the Torah's Chacham that ein siluk moichan olam, and that there's no loss whatsoever. Nothing is ever lost. No spiritual development that is in place falls back to a place prior to that spiritual development. Even if that spiritual development is not being utilized, nevertheless it's there. Something has shifted. And ein he'edar baruchnias. There's no absence in ruchnias, and any expression of a tzaddik and any expression of elokus or godliness in a place leaves a roshem. It leaves an irreducible trace that can never be erased because it was there, and once it was there, it's revealed to always be there, and it remains accessible for me to gain at any moment. That's the secret of Ein Siluk L'Moichan La'olam. So even though we're going through this roundabout way of spiritual development that is not in accordance with the typical order of things, that can lead a person to think that maybe I'm undeserving, maybe this is not real, maybe it's all pretend, maybe I don't really have access to these things, etc., etc., etc. So the Torah's Chacham says, Ein siluk moichan la'olam, and no matter how profoundly out of order the lights of spirituality that descend into a person's life in those, in case of emergency, bright glass situations, no matter how out of order it is, there's still an element that remains resting in that place forever. That's the Torah's Chacham. And we said that the Ramchal also utilizes a similar svara, just more on the darga of his kashas the tzaddik, that none of the brecha, none of the running away, none of those immediate escapes that we go through are going to go back to a place of nility as if we hadn't developed anything whatsoever. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu did it. And if Moshe Rabbeinu did it, then part of us has already accessed that light, because the das of Moshe is embedded within the depths of each and every Yid's heart and mind, to the degree that each and every one of us are Moshe and the das of Moshe, and each and every one of us have the responsibility of being mezachech and clarifying and revealing and connecting to and believing in and speaking with and uncovering the light of the aspect of Moshe that rests deeply embedded within our minds and our hearts, so as to bring that place of Moshe into the place of Iyediya, into the place of Har Nevo, that place of the Shar Hanun, where Moshe Rabbeinu comes into that place of B'toicha Anan, into the place of concealment. But it's our generation to bring Moshe Rabbeinu even further than that place of concealment. Moshe Rabbeinu until now has been buried Begeit Salmaves. He's been buried Begei Mei Pluor. He's been buried in those Yud Gimel hidden places, that Tikune Dikna, that place of the rectifications that emerge from a clouded place, that Salmudulav Hagunle. Moshe Rabbeinu was buried next to Baal Peor, the Klipa of Das, the place that Bilam Harasha awakened the very opposite potential of what Moshe Rabbeinu is. As we know that the archetype of Bilam Harasha is simply the psoiles, it's the negativity that comes about by way of the shadow side, Kavyachol, or the backside of Moshe Rabbeinu's mind. And that in truth, the Das of Moshe is resting in that hidden place prior to entering into Eretz Yisrael, not because it's defiled, God forbid, not because it's incapable, but because it rests there. Kadosh Baruch Hu has planted the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu in each and every generation, in each and every place that a person encounters, and all of the members masos of Klal Yisrael, of connecting to the Das of Mordechai Tzaddik, of connecting to the Das of Esther Malka, of connecting to the Das of Moshe Rabbeinu, who's Kolol trained Mashiachin, who connects himself to Eliyahu Navi, of Sraya Ben Dan, of all of the neshamos, all of the personalities, Kavyachol, that are responsible for bringing about Geula. They all come back into Moshe, because it's all Halach Moshe Misinai. And even Rabbi Akiva, who was Zeicha to Hasaga, that Moshe Rabbeinu seemingly was not being able to be masig, all of the pratim and the particularity and the distance, etc., etc. Nevertheless, in the end of the day, it comes back to Moshe Rabbeinu, and to realize Halach Moshe Misinai, this all comes from you, Moshe Rabbeinu, because everything is Moshe. It starts with Moshe and it ends with Moshe. It starts with his kashrus and the bittul of the self into that place of ani, into that place of ani, the kedusha, the refinement of the self that is capable of saying vanachnu ma, and we have nothing of our own, that place of the bittul of Moshe Rabbeinu. And from then it ascends upwards into that place of Mashiach Tzidkenu min hamayim mishisihu, as we know from the tzaddikim, and the Rebbe explains over and over that Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to be nishmas Moshe, that's malubash within the guf of Mashiach Tzidkenu, because loikam navi oid b'Yisrael, and when Nevuah returns, as Nevuah slowly but surely trickles back into the consciousness of human experience, and as the Yiddishkeit emerges into that place of the Yiddishkeit of Nevuah, of the prophetic community, of tefillah, of recognizing that every word that descends in my mind, into my heart, through my mouth, is in truth just the movement of HaKadosh Baruch Hu expressing himself through me in the secret of L'cha, Amar, Libi, Bikshu, Panai, as Panecha, Hashem Avakesh, that L'cha, B'shlichusecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my heart cries out to you through the shlichus that you give my heart to cry out to you. Meaning to say, we come to realize the secret of Mibein Shnei Akruvim, the fact that the dibor towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu itself, and that's the secret of Moshe Shapir Ka'amart. That when a person attaches themselves to the Das of Moshe, to the Nakud of Moshe within themselves, it's Shapir Ka'amart. Their words begin to be Shapir Ka'amart, like a shofar, the Harim Kolach K'shofar, that raise your voice like a shofar. What's shofar? Rabbi Nachman says shofar is Rosh Tevos Pashut Kafel Meshulush Meruba, the secret song of Tashurim Eresh Amana, the nigun of Moshe Rabbeinu, the secret nigun of Az Yashir, that Moshe Rabbeinu saw Kriyas Yamsuf, and he says Az Yashir, there's going to be a song in the future, and the Yud, Rashi says, is said Al Shem Ruach HaKodesh, Al Shem Chachma itself. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be nichnas from that place of the Memtesh Sha'arei Bina, from that place of not knowing where his kever is, whether it's above or below, until the Gilui, that very place, that Shar Hanun, which appears to be above to those who are below and below to those who are above, is in truth going to be the secret of the Shvil Lo Yada Ayat. It's going to be the Yichud of Chachma and Bina, and it's going to be the emergence of Das of Moshe into Eretz Yisrael, which is the secret of Koitama Aravi and Mebein Shnei Akruvim, and the awareness that Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David are operating all at once. That's the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. And because Moshe Rabbeinu went through that, each and every one of us has a part of Moshe Rabbeinu in us. As Rabbeinu says that each and every one of us has a Moshe and Mashiach in us, as the Morinayim says that the reason we don't know where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried is because Moshe Rabbeinu is buried at the innermost point of each and every one of our hearts, and a person can't know the depths of their own hearts. And as Rabbi Nachman says, that Moshe is wedged between Shmad and Ratzon in that place, Mul Beis Pa'or, protecting us to allow for the smooth transition from Chutz La'aretz into Eretz Yisrael, from Golus into Geula. And that's the secret of Moshe Rabbeinu, that's the secret of the Raya Mehemna, that's the secret of Binyan Beis HaMikdash, the secret of the Das of Moshe, and that Pnimius HaDevarim of Mi Bein Shnei HaKruvim, which is Rosh Tevos Moshe. So because Moshe Rabbeinu did this running away, it's as if he did it for all of us. And now we're going to see that this light of Moshe running away and this emergency moment of Moshe Rabbeinu running out of Golus into Geula to draw down the lights of Geula so that they can be found within the experience of Golus itself, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that he was not alone in this, but rather he needed Kavyachol, the neshama of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai as well, because Torah Moshe is Torah Moshe, and the Zohar HaKadosh is the Hisgalus HaPnimius of Torah Moshe, which is the secret of the Zohar HaKadosh, which is the Tevas Noach, which is that place that we run to when we need help, that place that we go to when we don't have respite outside of ourselves, in that place of the Zohar and the Ir Miklat, and that's the neshama of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who just like Moshe Rabbeinu had to run away, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai also had to run away, and we're going to see the reflection of Moshe Rabbeinu's life in the life of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And as we spoke about already, that Likutei Moharan from Rabbi Nachman, Nachum Levei, Mekor Chochma, is an introduction to the Torah of the Yechidei Hadoros, into the Tzaddikim, into the Torah of Rabbi Shimon and the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh and the Ari and Rashbi and Moshe Rabbeinu. So we see the introduction to Likutei Moharan starts with Shir Na'im, which is a beautiful song about Moshe Rabbeinu. So the beautiful song is an element of Bina, Moshe Rabbeinu is an element of Chachma, and there's also a beautiful vision of L'chu Chazu about Rabbi Shimon. L'chu Chazu is an element of Chachma, and Rabbi Shimon is an element of Bina. So we see that Rabbi Nachman, who's being Megala, his Torah, which is the secret of Keser, because the Ikr Nakud of Likutei Moharan is the 20th Torah of the Chaf of Keser, in Keser B'loi Chaf, and that place where we see the utilization of the Tzaddik's ability to use the Mata Oz to bring out the Geula by way of descending down into concealment itself. So the light of Rabbi Nachman's Sefer, Likutei Moharan, which is again the ability for a person to see Haseichel Sheb'chol Davar, to look and to uncover the secret of Nevuah, of the Chezyon Ha'amiti, and to see the Shem Havaya, B'li Osios, that gives shape and gives life to every aspect of existence at every moment. That koyach of Moshe Rabbeinu gets drawn down and has to be expressed in the light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai as well. So Hinei Ksiv, Pasuk says, Alisa Lamarim Shivisa Shevi. Pasuk and Tehillim says that he ascended upwards and he retrieved Shevi. He retrieved something that had been taken away. He retrieved something that had been stolen. Shevi, something that was kidnapped, something that was hidden, something that was held in abeyance, unable to be accessed. And Shemidaber al Rashbi. Zakt Rabbeinu Ramchal, that in truth, what's this Shevi? What's this thing that Moshe Rabbeinu went up and ascended to heaven to retrieve? Medaber al Rashbi. It was the neshama of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Why? Because Shevi, the word Shevi, Hu Rosh Tevos Shimon ben Yochai. It is the Rosh Tevos. It is an acronym of Shimon ben Yochai ki Yadua, meaning to say that Moshe Rabbeinu Alisa Lamarim v'Shivisa Shevi, you went upwards and you retrieved that thing that was taken away from Klal Yisrael, and you brought it back down, Lakachos Matanos B'mnei Adam, and you brought gifts back down to Klal Yisrael. That's the secret of the neshama of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. And not only that, but as the Heilige Gemara points out, Shevi can also be used as the Rosh Tevos of Yitzchak ben Shlomo, which is Rabbeinu Ha'arizal, as well as Yisrael Baal Shem, which is the Baal Shem Tov, the next tzaddikim that come along the way towards Rabbi Nachman. And that's the secret of Shevi. Moshe Rabbeinu ascended upwards to get the soul of Rabbi Shimon. Why? V'zeh ki ba'aloyse l'b'china zu shel ima. Shehu Moshe Rabbeinu, we know, had to run out into that place of Bina. He needed to use that in case of emergency break glass latch, where he ran out of Mitzrayim and he ran al ha'be'er. He sat in that place of Leah. He attached himself to Tzipora, the Isha Kushis Lakach, that place of concealment, that place of not knowing which way is revealed, which way is concealed, but rather that hidden reflective place like the Ma'ara, like the Tevas Noach, and that place of the Hiskashrus to the Pnimius of Leah. So Moshe Rabbeinu ran there, and that's where he retrieved Sipora, and that's where Moshe Rabbeinu ran away to. In that place, when he went up to that place of Marom, Marom represents Bina, which is that escape latch. So what did he do there? That's where he got the neshama of Rashbi. L'chein Leah besod Tzipora shehi marom. So too, where did Moshe Rabbeinu run to? He ran to that place of Leah, to that place of Bina, to the concealment of the mind, to the Almud Iskasia, to the watery space of the oceanic playfulness of the Leviathan, Breach, and the Leviathan, Aklason, and Rav Hamnuna Saba, and the big fish of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the secret of Yoshua ben Nun, the Talmud of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the secret of the Medrash that says the only people who could be Yoirish the Aretz are the children of Dagim, which is the secret of Yoshua ben Nun, as the Heilige Choizem Leblin explains in this week's parsha, Devar Emes, the secret of eating fish on Shabbos itself in order to be saved from the concealment of what comes at the end of days is the secret that the fish represents this transition of the Gilui of Ima, of Bina, into that place of Malchus to create the safe space. That's the world of Leah, that's the world of Sipora, that's referred to as Marom. That's where Moshe Rabbeinu ran to. Az Shava Hashevi, and that is where he drew down the Shevi from. That thing which had been taken, that thing which was too strong to be revealed in Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu ascended upwards, and with Mesiras Nefesh, he retrieved that soul of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. V'hu ki hoitziu b'koyach nitzotzo zu shehu Rashbi, because what Moshe Rabbeinu went up to do was retrieve that nitzos, that soul, that spark soul, which the Sitra Achar didn't want to come down because it would reveal such a light. It would reveal a light of Binyan Beis Hamikdash, as if the Beis Hamikdash is not even destroyed. That's the secret of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Shagam hu hayaloi levarach came. And because Moshe Rabbeinu ran away, and because Moshe Rabbeinu understood the necessity of utilizing this escape latch of Bina in order to awaken a redemptive pocket of air within the space of concealment in Malchus itself, and in order to retrieve that place of Ima, of Bina, that's Mashpia down to Malchus, Yashar, just B'derech Ma'avar Baza, but not B'derech the regular Hishtalshalos HaInyanim. So too, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is also going to have to run away. The same way Moshe Rabbeinu ran away, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has to run away. And why? Because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's neshama came down in the time that Moshe Rabbeinu ran away. That just as Moshe Rabbeinu needed to run away in the time of Geulas Mitzrayim, there also is going to have to be an element of brecha. There's also going to have to be an element of, in case of emergency, break glass, of utilizing the potency of Bina herself, Kavyachol, which is just the expressivity of the bittul of Chachma in a more intensified way, and allowing us to gain a direct access to that without the general order of Hishtalshalos. Even though the general order of Hishtalshalos in Zer Anpin is the Iker Zach, as we've said over and over, nevertheless, Eisaso Salashem Hifru Sarasecha, and there's a time where a person has to retrieve safety in the place that they find themselves with the knowledge of Bina, even though we haven't worked out the particularities of the day-to-day elements of Zer Anpin. Ubetchila, v'nimsa shloya brecha la'asilavo. I'm sorry. V'zeh, we said, so just as Moshe Rabbeinu had to run away in that time of Geulas Mitzrayim, so too, theoretically, it should have been that there was a brecha, that there had to be this, in case of emergency, break glass escape used at the end of exile prior to redemption as well. But we have a stira. On the one hand, we know that there's going to have to be this, in case of emergency, break glass type of escape, where Bina is mashpia dam to Malchus to create the secret of the Ir Miklat and the Tevas Noach and the Sefer Zohar and the Ma'ara of Rashbi and the place of Me'al HaBa'er and all of those safe places. But nevertheless, Aval Kasav, but there's also going to be a pasuk that says, Ki lo b'chi pazon teitzu b'menusa lo telechun. But when it speaks about the future redemption, we're told that it's not going to be by way of running out immediately without any preparation. And it's not going to be without any of the typical work necessary like it was in the times of Mitzrayim. So in the times of Mitzrayim, we see that there was an escape that was necessary. But in the future times, there's seemingly not going to be a need for an escape. So how do we align this discrepancy? How do we align the discrepancy that on the one hand, we know that there has to be an escape, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai running into the cave, just as Moshe Rabbeinu. But on the other hand, we're told that the future Geula is not going to be by way of escape, but rather going to be by way of permanency, and it's going to be by way of Ereinu Niflos, that we ourselves are going to descend in the Niflos, not we're going to become aware of the Niflos like in the time of Mordechai and Esther, but we ourselves are Einu Niflaos through the zichuch of the vision of our own eyes to be Megala, the Nafal Os, the fallen letters that are going to be revealed into the Niflaos themselves, into the secret of Bina that's oile back into Chachma, to be Megala Zayin on the Pella of Keser, when we're able to be Mezachech our eyes properly, so we're not going to have to run out. And so the Ramchal is going to explain the steer as follows. Let's first and foremost discuss the terms and conditions of where all of this is coming from. And we know already, we're still in the sugya of Bina that's being mashpia down to Malchus, as we've been talking about the whole time. Hine Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom, when it comes to the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, b'takno b'tchila litzarich Yisrael b'Mitzrayim. when Moshe Rabbeinu escaped out of Mitzrayim and helped us escape out of Mitzrayim. So not only was it an escape out of Mitzrayim, but Heichin Tikun Gam L'Tzarech Hagula Achrona. But he also, in that place, prepared the requisite preparations for the future redemption. In the secret of Mahu, Umashem Beno, that Mahu is Moshe Rabbeinu back then, and Mashem Beno is Moshe Rabbeinu nowadays, where we're Mechaber Moshe and David Melech Mashiach. And so Moshe Rabbeinu was preparing for the first Geula, and he was also preparing for the eventual Geula. Hainu shalokach imoy gam nitzotzo zu haroi lehishalois b'soif l'tzorech hageula ha'asida v'hainu Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Meaning to say that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't just run out of Mitzrayim. The Jewish people didn't need the Zohar HaKadosh in Mitzrayim. That was a different Giloi. It was prior to the Giloi of the Torah HaKadosha. But when it comes to the future redemption, we are going to need the Zohar HaKadosh. We are going to need the light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We are going to need that secret of the Ir Miklat and the Tevas Noach in our lives, which is the Sefer of the Zohar itself. And therefore, because Moshe Rabbeinu understood that there was going to be a need for the neshama of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the Tevas Noach of the Zohar to be revealed for the future generation, Moshe Rabbeinu ensured to have the wherewithal and the wisdom and the forethought, just like Yaakov Avinu did when he brought the Atzei Shitim Oimdim, when he understood the need to bring about the wood needed to build the Mishkan, the foresight of the tzaddikim. So Moshe Rabbeinu brought with him Shavisa Shevi. Moshe Rabbeinu understood the need for the soul of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai as well. Va'al Kain Chazarhu Baruch Gamkein, and therefore, because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was taken from such a place of being received in a time of escape where Moshe Rabbeinu ran out, so too it's going to be in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's life as well. He's going to need to run away as well. And Barach el Hama'ara, and he had to run into the cave, Shehi Mamish beside Ima, which is literally the secret of what we're talking about, which is Ima. The cave is Ima. It is the inner movement, the intensification of the descent inwards and the carving out of a space, to be mechoikek, to build a vessel, not to express something as light, but to refine from within, to build vessels from within, which is not only something that is shaykh to building an empty space, it's also shaykh to oros as well. A person has to learn how to curve the oros and invest in the oros, and the hasaga can't just be something that is perpetually escaping outwards like the bekiyas tefillin, but it has to be something that is emerging inwards as well through the furrowing of one's mind to create those chambers towards Yerushalayim in the mind. That there's a zichuch and a preparation to receive oros and kelim, which Rav Hillel Paritcher Schlusa Ganalenu speaks about in Palacharimon Parshas Matos Maseh in an incredible way. That in that place, there's a need to prepare a cave for a person's form of existence, to allow for the inner lights of modesty to emerge out of the mind, not necessarily being stuck in the active principle of how we typically associate with them. And Ubarach el Ma'ara, and he ran away into the cave, Shimamish Said Ima, which is literally the sod and the secret of Ima, of Bina, Kilachain hu Mastur and Machvo. That's why it's concealed and a hiding place. It's like a return into a state of Ibor. It's like the child who returns back into utero to remember all of the Torah that has been forgotten prior to the exile of being born and forgetting all of the Torah. And this is also the secret of the Ir Miklat, like we said, the secret of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the secret of Moshe Rabbeinu, Va'az nimshacha ema b'soich nukva. And in that place, in that ha'ara of the Zohar HaKadosh, or the ma'ara of the Zohar, or the Tevas Noach, all of these things represent the same escape latch in case of emergency, which is drawing down the redemptive light of Ima, the Hamtakas Adinim b'Sharasham, the five nekudas of Ima, which is the Hisgalus of Eloikim, B'Sharasha Ha'elyon, down to be mamtik, the Chamisha Dinim that a person encounters in this world. And V'na'asa b'chinas ha'teva, and it's like the creation of a teva, V'hulchan inyan ha'zohar, and that's where the light of the Zohar, which is also this light, the Zohar, is the light of Bina revealed for everybody to receive. Unlike the teva of Noach, where only Noach and his chevra were able to receive the illumination of that. And he wanted to express it outwards, but it didn't necessarily play out the way that he expected it to. So too with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the beginning of doing it all for Klal Yisrael, but it was still the das of Moshe Rabbeinu that was able to do it for Gans Klal Yisrael. The Sefer Zohar is the hisgalus of this inyan, of this or of Bina, is in a sustainable way. That anytime a person needs escape, anytime a person needs safety, anytime a person feels the need to be warmed by the comforting embrace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Shechina that hovers above in the silent calmness of faith that doesn't care so much about what's taking place externally, a person has to come come and see Tal Chazi, the light of the Zohar HaKadosh, to read the Zohar HaKadosh with understanding, without understanding, in Lashon HaKodesh, in Targum, in the Lashon that a person understands. Obviously, each one has its own benefits, but the Zohar HaKadosh is the Tevas Noach, the Zohar HaKadosh, the Tikkunei Zohar. This is the Tachlis. This is what the Leshem Shbo V'Chaloma explains, that after all is said and done, after all of the Kitvei Ari, then we go back into the Zohar HaKadosh. And as the Rebbe was talking about this Thursday night, that the inyan of the Zohar HaKadosh is the place of all Hasagos combined into one, and that there's a safety that the Zohar HaKadosh provides, as we've been talking about since we started talking about the Zohar HaKadosh. It's a safe place that a person can rest their weary head and their legs when a person doesn't necessarily have that place of comfort, which is the moichin of Geula Mamish, which has not yet arrived. It's that ability to perform the rectifications by way of modesty without necessarily needing to see the external application of them by way of being able to measure them in some quantifiable or capitalistic way. The secret of the wandering of the Zohar HaKadosh. And this is where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I'm sorry for, again, the verbosity and the meandering, but V'nasa b'chinas hateva v'huchen inyan hazohar. This is what happens when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai went into the cave. He prepared, again, the rectifications of the teva, which is the gilui of the or of bina, the tzayir ta'asa l'teva, v'huchen inyan hazohar. And this is where the Zohar HaKadosh was prepared. V'havein hetiv, and understand these words well, kesher hadvarim hanitlim bazeh. Understand very deeply the connectivity over here between Moshe Rabbeinu and Rashbi, because this is something that's going to happen throughout the generations of his Galus HaTorah. V'hinei Moshe Rabbeinu hoiled shnei banim sham b'midyan meitzipoira ishto v'hainu Gershom ve'Eliezer. Moshe Rabbeinu had two children when he went into this escape latch, when he ran to Midyan, when he ran towards Sipora, when he ran into that place of Leah, Ha'elyona, when he ran into that place of Bina. There are two things that emerge there. There's the secret of Gershom, and there's the secret of Eliezer. And that's the secret of the Breicha of Moshe Rabbeinu, that in Moshe running away, he retrieves Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's neshama, and he receives, or he experiences the gift of these two children, Gershom and Eliezer. And Zakt Rabbeinu Ramchal, these two stages represent two spiritual stages of awareness that take place in this momentary escape by way of entering into Bina to draw down the light of Malchus, which is most potently expressed nowadays in the Zohar HaKadosh. And both of them, Gershom and Eliezer, the children born to Moshe from Tzipora, and that secret of that place of Leah Ha'elyoina, that place of Isha Kushis Lachatz, that place of Malchus in its deepest and most elevated place, Moshe Rabbeinu receives Gershom ve'Eliezer. Eliezer is the secret of the Seif HaTikun, and Gershon is the beginning of the tikkun. So there's two stages of the rectification that Moshe Rabbeinu is going to receive, or two things that are going to be encountered whenever a person or a tzaddik goes up into this escape latch. So we see the paradigm of it by Moshe with Gershom Eliezer, but we're going to see that this is also going to apply by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Mamela, this is also going to apply anytime a person ever encounters this process, which is emergent from what the Ramchal is saying in the study of the Zohar HaKadosh, which is this escape latch of running up to Bina and drawing down the light of Bina into Malchus to be mamtik all dinim wherever we find ourselves through the light of the Zohar HaKadosh. So even though we're talking about Moshe and the Gilui of Gershom and Eliezer in that place of the Brecha, and we're going to see Rabbi Shimon ve'Elazar Brei in that place of the Brecha, this is also going to apply to us, the secret of Gershom ve'Eliezer, in accordance to each and every one of our own understandings when we encounter the Zohar HaKadosh and the secret of Tshuva. Both of them apply to the secret of the Brecha. Eliezer is the secondary stage, that's the end of that process, and Gershom is the beginning. Why? Because Gershom hu rak le'inyan hagerus shalo, ach Eliezer hu ha'at so there's two elements in Moshe Rabbeinu's need to run out into the Ir Miklat, because the dinim were emergent. Paro HaRasha, it appeared that the klipa was rising, God forbid, and that's why there was a need for Moshe Rabbeinu to be barach, ki barach ha'am, because when it appears that the klipa is rising, prior to our knowledge of the inherent limitation upon any possibility rising of the klipa itself, because it's always built into the game itself, and it's always the sha'ashua ha'elyoina of Yachid b'metzias, and Hashem knows, and Hashem knew, Hashem knows, and Hashem will know, and everything was good and is good and will be good. Nevertheless, the need is to draw that down into the secret of Hashkacha Pratis, into the Yachid b'shlita, and our encounter in this world through the secret of the lower unity, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had to mamish run away. The klipa seemed to be rising. The running away that Moshe Rabbeinu did, the first stage of that running away is the secret of the gerus, is the secret of just transforming a dark situation into a situation of light, something that comes about by way of no preparatory situation, but simply the first stage of the brecha, the first stage of running into Bina is the stage of Gershom, which is the inyan hagerus shalo. And then there's going to be the stage of Eliezer, which is the hatzalas. There's the running away and creating a space, and then there's the safety and the rectification that takes place by entering into that place. The two-step process of the tshuva process, which is running into tshuva and then ensuring the rectifications of tshuva itself. The awareness that everything is good and then revealing within our lives on a practical level how everything is good. Sha'az nitzel be'emes micharev paro. So first and foremost, Moshe Rabbeinu had to run into that place of Gershom to experience the gerus there of that escape latch, and then he was experiencing the light of Eliezer. So Paro was chasing him. He was an accidental murderer. The dinim were mit'ala in the bria, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had to run away first in the aspect of Gershom. The kfar ela hadvarim miskashim oid be'inyanim halgilgulim besoid kain vehevel ki adua ki hoichim letaken hapegamim kulam shenifku ba'olam. And what the Ramchal is hinting to here, and we're not going to deviate too much into it, even though the Ramchal hinting to it here means that it's fundamental to the understanding. What we see over here by Moshe and Gershom and Eliezer is also expressed already from Adam Harishon and the two Giluyim that come from Adam Harishon when he was in Gan Eden, which was his secret of the Tevas Noach, which was his secret of the Sefer HaZohar, his ability to be safe and covered as long as he didn't eat from the Eitz HaChaim. But unfortunately, and by necessity, everything that happened took place, and there was the being kicked out of Gan Eden. And what takes place there is Cain and Hevel, which are going to be these aspects of Gershom and Eliezer, that L'chayra Kaim is going to be far more like Gershom, and Eliezer is going to be more like Hevel. Because everything that's taking place in this process of Moshe Rabbeinu and reflective in Rashbi, and again, these two dargin and hasaga bezman habrecha that each and every person is zoicha to. Hine keneged zeh haya im Rashbi Rabbi Eliezer beno. Rabbi Eliezer beno was the shlemus of both of them together. The stage of Gershom is just the preparatory stage of entering into the time of rectification, and in the time of Moshe, it represented itself as two separate stages. Gershom was the entering in, and Eliezer was the preparation for the rectification. But as the generations go down, l'chayra, there's a need for these things to take place a little bit quicker because we can't handle the apparent separation, and therefore Hashem reveals it by way of unity. Hine keneged zeh in the time of Rashbi, haya Rabbi Eliezer beno besod klal l'shnei habanim Gershom ve'Eliezer. That by Rabbi Shimon, it was enough for Rabbi Eliezer to represent those two dargin, that stage, the Rutz of Ashov, the two stages of the Gershom, the Gerus, the Hisnaktus, the separation from the previous stage, and then the Hatzala, and then the entering into the Asay Tov, the Tzur Meirah and the Asay Tov. Gershom is the Tzur Meirah, and Eliezer is the Asay Tov. By Rabbi Shimon, already the Tzur Meirah is Nichla within the Asay Tov, as the Heligat Tzadikim of Gur would say, Tzur Meirah, turn your mind away from negativity completely, don't deal with it, and just Asay Tov, do good. In the secret of the Klala Shnei Habanim Gershom ve'Eliezer. Benimtza, and it turns out, should be Rashbi, Ba'ara, when Rashbi was hiding in that cave, it was just like Noach HaTzadik who found the Teva. It was just like Moshe Rabbeinu who ran away. It was just like the Ir Miklat for the accidental murder. It was the place to develop this potent light of Bina that can illuminate the world even when there was darkness that was unleashed upon the world. Shahayu mitgalim kol oisim ha'irish shahayu nistarim ad hazman hahu mipnei hit alim hachut. That Rabbi Shimon and his son were taking care of all of the lights that needed to be kindled, that were concealed as a result of the concealment of lo yodenu adma, like we said, the hisalim hachut, that chut of Or Ein Sof was hidden, that the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu lost its inherent connectivity to the kav Or Ein Sof that's mispashed through the kalim of mechsav hatzvirus and mechvas haneshamos, as the Arizal points out, or the shema, or the bittul, whatever we identified, that ma lo yodenu adma, we're referring to it here as the kav Or Ein Sof, as that place of kavei el Hashem yachlifu koyach, in that place of concealment when we need to enter into that place of malchus. So Rabbi Shimon was doing just that. And Rabbi Shimon had to first and foremost rectify the secret of lights. That for the entirety of Klal Yisrael there was light b'moishvoisam, there was light in their place of Moishav Tov Yeshavta, in the place of Yeshiva, in the place of saying Kriyat Shema b'Yeshiva, the secret of Malchus, that the light ascends specifically from the place of Malchus, and the secret of Moishav Tov Yeshavta, and Torah Hashem Tamima Me'Shivas Nafesh. And that was the light that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was kindling. He was kindling the lights. The Zohar is osik in the lights. Zohar is melashon lights. The Giloi ha'osos, as well as the revelation of the connectivity of those signs and the inherent connectivity between the above and below, as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai represents Nasa Adam Never Baberecha, the yichud of the Taryag mitzvos and the Taryag itin, the connectivity between the neshama and the guf, the refinement of the body within the externality of the body, and that's the secret of the yud of Shaddai being drawn down to the secret of shade, which is the external reality of things devoid of their connectivity. So as long as these things are not working properly, Moshe Rabbeinu has to enter into that hidden place to draw down that light. And so too Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to kindle the lights of the Zohar in order to reveal the Giloy Asoidos and the Osos, which is the Yud of Shakai. But we knew because the Sitra Achra, anytime there's a time of revelation and something is afoot, there's going to be concealment because the Kalav and Sayakin, those brazenest dogs that bark because they know that the light of Shabbos and Mashiach and all of these lights are coming to nullify them. Benoik Vehoin, throwing down these brazenest dogs and all of the klipos and all of the yamin, the small, the emsa, all of the klipos completely, all of the Sinai Yisrael, every element of Sinai Yisrael is going to have its day come soon where it's going to be negated completely. And Bala Hamavas Lenetzach, and the Kalavim, Tsayakim are going to be silenced by the emergence of Eliyahu Hanavi. And because they know that any time their time of obliteration emerges, so there's going to be an awakening, there's going to be a raging forth of these elements of concealment that are going to try and rear their ugly heads. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to stay there in order to ensure that all of the rectifications, all of the work that needed to be done was being done, like the tzaddikim always do. The klala tikkunim heim b'soid, and what are the tikkunim? What needed to be done? Why did Rabbi Shimon have to be in the cave? What was going on in the cave? How long were they in the cave for? So Zak, the Heilige Ramchal, the secret of being in the cave, the secret of the tikkunim are referred to as the mishpat rishayim begehenim yud beis chodesh, that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and tzaddikim, they go down into Gehenim for the sake of Klal Yisrael. They go down into that bitter place of concealment because they don't need the illumination. They're already illuminated, the tzaddikim. They have an Amunah Yisera. They're in a place of Binyan Beis HaMikdash. But for the sake of Klal Yisrael, so they go into the element of hell in order to elevate the Neshamos of Yisrael, which is the world of separation, that world of where we need Bina to be mashpia her light down to Malchus itself. There's a judgment there for 12 months. V'hu inyan hacharuv shenoiled lahem. And this is the secret of the cherub tree, the buxer tree that emerged for them, the charuv, which represents destruction. It also represents sustenance, which is representative of the churban, a time of concealment. Ubioser pratios beside kav charuvin. Kav charuvin, 102 is the gematria of the miloi of the shem havaya b'miloi yudin, which is the havaya of ab, the havaya b'miloi yud and aleph, which is the havaya of sag, and the havaya b'miloi alfin, which is the havaya of ma. So you have ab, sag, ma, you have chochma, bina, and Zer Anpin, those shemos, devoid of the actual name of Havaya, which is 26. So when you take 26 from 72, and 26 from 63, and 26 from 45, what you're left with is 102. And that's the Kav Charuvin. That's the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Miloi, which is Gevura, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists in one way or another, what we understand in times of exile, but devoid of the grasp of the real essence of it, which is the Shem Havaya, which is the actual 26 of those gematrios. And that's the light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows, the Kav Charuvin, Hamuskar B'Reb Chanina ben Doiser. Reb Chanina ben Doiser was the tzaddik who was the Amud Ha'olam, who all he did was eat one little measure of Kav Charuvin a week, and it was able to, through that, B'Shvil Chananya B'ni, as the Heilige Baal Shem Tov says, it's not that I'm going to sustain the world as a result of Chananya B'ni because I love him, but b'shvil Chananya B'ni, that the tzaddik is a shvil, the tzaddik is megalazain, the piping necessary. The tzaddik is the plumber kavyachol for the pipes of the connectivity between above and below, and the mayim elyonim and the mayim tachtonim, as we see by David Malka Mashiach in the time of the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, when the rest of the world was dancing and everybody was excited, but David Malka Mashiach was trying to properly create the plumbing system necessarily to ensure that the tahimos, the meimei hatahom did not ascend and obliterate the world again. And so the tzaddikim are perpetually refining those shvilim, those drachim, those gesher tsar ma'oid ma'oid, paving those paths in order to reveal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our lives. And that's the Kav Charuvin of Rav Chanina ben Dosa. That's the Kav Charuvin, that's the Charuv that was built for Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Lazar in the Ma'ara. Why? Why is it shaykh to this place of Gehenim, this momentary waiting space prior to the revelation of Geula? Because Gehenim is just Ha'edar. Gehenim is just a place of concealment and not yet being revealed as the Tachlis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But as we know, and as we're going to be speaking about, the Suda of the Yasan is specifically going to be in the place of Gehenna, because Gehenna is going to be the only place big enough to be nishapich into the place of Gan Eden afterwards, and that Gehenna is going to be mezuchach, to be revealed, to have already been a part of Gan Eden. And as we know, that the day the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh was born, that the fires of Gehenna stopped burning, and the Malachim came and they said, Rabbeinu Shalom, we need Gehenna. There has to be Gehenna in the world. There needs to be this momentary cave of our lives where we fall back into a Kat Nasheni, where we fall back into that place of concealment. There needs to be a Gehenna necessary in order to reveal how we can come out of Gehenna. And that Gam Ki Elech Begate Samavis Lo Yirara Ke'ati Madi. And even though Moshe Rabbeinu walks in the valley of death, Mul Beis Pa'or, in that place of Gay, in Gimel Yud Aleph, nevertheless, Ke'ata in Madi, that you're with me, Rabbeinu Shalom, and I'm going to reveal the purity from that place as well. But there has to be a Gehenna. There has to be an element of Gehenna. There has to be that place, because that place is going to be nishapich into being the place of the Suda of the Leviathan themselves. And as Rabbeinu himself said, that it's easy to believe in Olam Haba. It's harder to believe in Olam Hazeh, because Olam Hazeh sometimes appears to be Gehenna. It wasn't a pessimistic statement. It was just saying that every ounce of this worldliness is the Gevuros that are perpetually being nimtak b'sharasham, and the Gevuros being nimtak b'sharasham through the Eif and the Shalhum and the Shalhuvin D'Rechimnu, and the hot water shower that a person takes prior to going to mikvah, after going to mikvah on Erev Shabbos, those birurim of the gevuros b'sharashim, that's the taras haneshama shu al yedei gehenim o al yedei tshuva, and we're going to see that both of them are fundamentally reflective of the same element, which is the secret of bina, and that refinement that the soul has to go through in order to prepare, in spite of the fact that the outside is not yet ready. V'hu ki koil dina azil lezina, kol dina. Kol zina azil zina, kol min hoylech lamino. Everything goes to the place that it needs to go to. Everything is attracted back to its source. The nimtza az shetzricha haneshama l'redus begehenim ad she'azua ma tifrad mimena v'tistavik b'sharasha. The reason that the body needs to be refined through this place of Gehenim, through the birurim and the zichuchim and the savlanus of the body and the savlanus of the mind and emotional experience and the Gehenim and the refinement of Gehenim that a person goes through in each and every moment of their lives. As Rabbeinu tells us that he goes down into Gehenna to save a person, it doesn't mean after death necessarily. The tzaddikim are doing what the tzaddikim are doing after death. That has nothing to do with what we understand that tzaddikim are doing. When Rabbi Nachman says that I'm going to rematzil you from Gehenna, it doesn't mean after death only. It means within this world as well. When a person finds themselves in Gehenna, the tzaddikim amitim have the power of bringing them out of Gehenna. As the Balatanya said, that chasidim and anshe maisa and individuals who have a hishtoikus for pnimius haTorah are neshamos that were in Gehenna. And in Gehenna, there's an isser on the hasaga of Elokus. In Gehenna, it's not allowed to grasp Elokus. And the moment the person emerges out of that momentary Gehenna moment of their experience, all they want is more and more hasagas Elokus, more and more hasagas Elokus, until that place is transformed into Gan Eden Mamish, and the place for the Sudasa, the Leviathan. So when it comes time for the neshama, for the world to have its rectification and its clarification, the neshama has to laredis begehenim ad shezua matifrad mimenu v'tiskavesh b'sharasha. To a person refines themselves to the point that we could connect to the innermost point of the thing. As shata'ala le'ima b'sed hatshuva v'tistavik b'sharasha. But there's another way out of Gehenim. It's not only going through those processes that the tzaddikim are soivel for the rest of Klal Yisrael, but there's a secret of tshuva, and there's a secret of connecting oneself directly to their source, as the Ramchal says, a tremendous chiddush. That, and it's not a chiddush because it's davar pashut, but it's also a chiddush to say out loud, in that in the Drush HaKivoy, that afilu mi shenichnas legehenim hamekave yoytze misham mistavik l'sharasho, that even in Gehenim, a person will have the ability to elevate themselves out of that place in the secret of kivoy, in the secret of connecting to that kav or in sof, to that chut, of going all the way back from the lowest part of yichud b'shlita imaginable, from the concealment and the dir b'tachtoin mamish, and all of the concealment, and all the way back up to the highest point imaginable, to the Rosh HaKav, to the Rosh HaMatos, to that secret of the sheresh of the Shem Havaya, b'li osios. V'tifrad mimenu azuma. V'ine kvar shamata inyan. Zaktar Ramchal, you already understand this. Tohu voyu v'choshech al pnei tahom. We saw that prior to the creation of the world, prior to the revelation of the 5 times light, prior to the revelation of the or, of the Amar, Oyef, Erdoif, Asik, Achalek, of those 5 alfin that come to be mamtik zayin on everything, that come to be mamtik on the Chamesh dinim, to transfer the 5 times din into the 5 times adnus, those 5 alfin, those 5 hays those 5 ors were preceded by Tohu Vohu v'choshech al pnei tahom. Eichaisa mit acheset mi midura ben neshamas mipnei shlitas We saw over there the necessity and the hiddenness that the soul has to go through as a result of the vessels being the only thing that is revealed there. That's the process of this Yud Beis Chodesh, of these Yud Beis Shanim that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to be in the cave, and those Yud Beis Chadashim that the Rishayim or Klal Yisrael need to go through the rectifications for in Gehenim. Al Kain Ba'alis Rashbi Le'ima B'Sayda Ma'ara, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai went up into that hidden place of Bina, into that hidden place of Tshuva, in order to prepare that safe place of the Sefer Zohar, which is like the Teva of Noach, which is like the Ir Miklat, Hayatzarach Lahotzi Kol Nishmois Yisrael Me'achizas HaTahoim Shehu Gehenim. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, just like Moshe Rabbeinu, did not go in just for himself. The tzaddik does not go in for themselves. The tzaddik is not here for themselves. Moshe Rabbeinu is here for Klal Yisrael, as he proves to the Ribono Shel Olam over and over and over. Alama hirosam la'am hazeh. Why are you going to punish them, Ribono Shel Olam? It is not their fault. The way that the Shpaler Zayda would be megala zayin schus on Klal Yisrael over and over, as the story goes that the Shpaler Zayda made a neder, made a shvua on his heilig zaken hakadosh, on his beard, where he says, Ribono Shel Olam, Klal Yisrael are not going to do tshuva in the way that they need to in order to bring about Mashiach. I'm telling you now, they're not going to do tshuva. So bring it about by way of Rachamim Rabim. The same way that the Shpaler Zayda, when there was a bris milah on Erev Tisha B'Av, and somebody forgot to bring them beer, and the Shpaler Zayda sent them back to buy more beer. And they said, it's Erev Tisha B'Av. Why should we buy beer? He said, go buy beer. And then he told them to go buy more beer, more beer, more beer, more beer, until when it came time for kinos, everybody was fast asleep as a result of their incidental intoxication. And the Shpaler Zayda walked into the shul where the kinos were not being said, and he looked up to the Ribono Shel Olam and he said, I told you, Ribono Shel Olam, we're not doing it anymore. You send Mashiach. You send Mashiach. Klal Yisrael needs to eat. Klal Yisrael needs to have sustenance. Klal Yisrael needs the Chayus de Kedusha, and it's impossible with the Yetzer Hara. Rabbi Nachman was a different avodah. Rabbi Nachman said, no, it's specifically the kinos themselves get to be mahapich into tikkun, and the concealment itself gets to be nishupach into the revelation of the tikkun ha'amiti, of the nun sha'arei bina, of adding the nun to the teku, to life's unanswerable questions, and facing them with the shar hanun, which is the secret of the pella elyon, of the awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence and distance at the same time. And so when Rabbi Shimon goes up, and he goes into the Ma'ara, he wants to refine the entirety of Klal Yisrael from Gehenim. The tikkunim that Rabbi Shimon is going to do, the preparation of the Zohar HaKadosh that Rabbi Shimon is about to embark on, is not for the sake of Rabbi Shimon himself, but it's for the sake of Gans Klal Yisrael ad hayom hazeh, when very often what we have left is the Zohar HaKadosh, where the Zohar HaKadosh is there to alleviate the tired soul. The Zohar HaKadosh is there whether a person knows or does not know what one is saying. The words of the Zohar HaKadosh go up from the mouth and they build binyanim mifu'arim in the sky. So does any limud Torah, but the letters of the Zohar HaKadosh are more porous in their freedom to awaken a love and an ahava amuka, as we're going to see from Rabbeinu Ramchal, that rests at the heart of the Zohar HaKadosh. To a certain degree, the book of the Zohar HaKadosh is a book of ahava. It's a book of ahava ben adam lechaveru, a book of ahava ben adam leishto, a book of ahava ben adam lemishpachto, ben adam leboire, ben adam la'atzmo. It's a book of ahava, of connectivity, of planting one's feet on the ground in the secret of dancing in the air and feeling as if I'm planted on the ground. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai enters into that place. Tzaddikim enter into that place. Moshe Rabbeinu enters into that place. They go into the Tahim. Moshe Rabbeinu goes into the house of Paro. He goes Bo el Paro. Why Bo el Paro? Hashem should be saying go towards Paro. Hashem is not found in Paro, but the Zohar Kadosh says Bo el Paro. It says come forth to Paro, because Moshe Rabbeinu and Hakadosh Baruch Hu are revealing to us the secret that Hashem is found in the depths of the house of Paro. Hashem is found in the depths of the concealment, and it's specifically there that He's going to beckon forth tzaddikim to find from within the Chalal Apanu, from within that concealed place of the Ma'ara, the secret nigun of Emuna and Shtika and the Hamtakas Adinim and the Shir Pashut Kafel Meshula Shemaruba, and the secret song that's going to be sung in the times of Mashiach, where we realize how every element of concealment was simply building upon itself incrementally to reveal more and more potency and tolerance between stop and go, and moving forward ever so slightly, and celebrating the small momentary growths in spite of the fact that it's not yet at the end, but nevertheless finding the end within prior to the end. And that secret of Shir Pashut to the shear that comes all the way down to Olam Ha'asiyah, and the concealment of a person's life, and the concealment of this worldliness, with all of the concealment and the terror that abides upon it on the surface, we find specific from that place the shear of Emunah. Be'ezras Hashem, the Ramchal is going to continue, and hopefully we'll do this shear this week, because I meant to get to the second part also. It's going to continue to talk about the yichudim that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was engaged in those 12 years, and then in those 12 months afterwards, and the secret of Yabok, and the secret of Yichud, Bracha, and Kedusha, which is going to be the Gematria Yabuk is 112, which stands for Yichud, Bracha, and Kedusha, the unity between Bracha, which is going to be the drawing down of blessing down here, and Kedusha, which is the elevation of down here up there, and the separation between the two until we draw down the yichud of the bracha and the Kedusha in the secret of Yabuk, which is Gematria 112, which the Ramchal says is Eheke, which represents being up there. It's Havaya, which is the middle place, and Adnus, which is the place of being down there. Eheke 21, Havaya 26 and Adnus 65, all of them together equal 112, which is Yabuk, which is Yichud, Bracha, and Kedusha, which is the Ma'abor Yabuk. And also there's another Gematria of Yabuk, which is going to be the Havaya and Elohim of 26 and 86. And ultimately we're going to see how this Yichud of Bracha and Kedusha is ultimately going to bring us to an understanding of what exactly the Zohar HaKadosh offers us. How is the Zohar HaKadosh this portal that brings for us the secret of the Ir Miklat, that Binyan Beis HaMikdash, the Binyan HaTeva, and how it is that we can each and every one of ourselves create this hidden place for ourselves as well. To end, we haven't done this in a minute, but we're going to look at a tefillah from Rabbeinu Ramchal in order to bring the Torah into tefillah, and this is going to be tefillah rapach. It's going to be 288, and it's a tefillah al giloi hayichud. It's a prayer with regards to the revelation of unity. Sheya'avir es negativity, and all negativity should leave this world. I'm sorry. That's not what we're looking at. That's an important tefillah. Also, we're looking at rats. We're looking at the tefillah 290, which is really, it should be spelled tsar. It should be oisios tsar, but we know that the tzaddikim didn't want to write these words as their headers, so they transform the tsara into a zman of ratzon, so it is tefillah rats, which we'll share. And the title of this tefillah is Asidim Shnei Mashiachim Lahachriv Shnei Arim Chayavos. Then in the future, the two forms of Mashiach are going to come, and they're going to destroy two cities that are guilty, liable, which are referred to as Roimi Rabasa, the great form of Rome, and Roimi Zeirasa, which just represents forms of Klal Yisrael's enemies. Shekal Atzmam Loi Nitma'alu Ela Mechurban Yerushalayim. Because in truth, why is it that negativity has to be destroyed prior to the emergence of positivity? Because Kedusha, the vitality that belongs to Kedusha, if it's not revealed within Kedusha, it will be borrowed and revealed in the place of concealment, so as if concealment has that illumination, while in truth it's just waiting there for us to take it when we're ready. And therefore, as a result of the fact that it's time for the binyan of Yerushalayim, so those bate of Roimi Rabasa and Roimi Zeirasa, the two forms of Klipa, the Yamin and the Small, Yishmael and Esav, so those two elements are going to be revealed, to their destruction is going to be the beginning of the redemption. El Echad Yachad Miyuchad. El Echad Yachad Miyuchad. Shnei Arim Chayavos, there are two cities that are guilty. Shene'emar, as the pasuk says, La Aluka Shteibanos Hav, that Aluka had two children, Hav, those Kalvin the Chatzifin that demand, give me, all kalim of wanting. Roimi Rabasi v'Roimi Zeirasa, the elongated, the strengthened Rome, and the lower Rome, Keneged, Bina, and Malchus. Shenet Ma'alu Mechurbana Yerushalayim. The only strength that they have is a result of the diminution of Yerushalayim, Shekoileles Shnayim Ke'echad. Because Yerushalayim has the koach of both of these. Echad Shu Shnayim, like the Yichud HaGadol of the kibbutz in Yerushalayim. Tzion v'Yerushalayim, they're both contained within Yerushalayim itself. Yerushalayim, the binyan of Yerushalayim, when it's in a state of being built, Roimi Rabasa and Roma Zeirasa fall apart. Even though Yerushalayim is only one place. Dr. Ramchal, Yerushalayim is Shnayim Ke'echad, Tzion v'Yerushalayim. Ba'im Ne'emar, and on those places in Yerushalayim it says, Al Har Tzion Sheshamim Shualim Hilchubo, that on Har Tzion that was desolate, the foxes wander there, as we know from the secret of Rabbi Akiva, who laughed when he saw the fox there, and the secret of a Tischak Le'em Acharon, Shari Mepat Kekim Lishlot, that negativity and Klipa try so hard, the Shualim try so hard to have control. Gair Chayas Kena, there's a strength that comes about by negativity's attempt to overtake Kedusha. V'shnei Geirish and the Gari Yisrael B'shnei Mashiachim. But we're going to destroy them, and there's going to be a strengthening cry of Kedusha that breaks them down, and two states of dispulsion and dispelling them are going to take place. B'shnei Mashiachim, the two dargin of Mashiach. Shenemar Bahem, as it says with regards to Mashiach, V'haya Beis Yaakov Eish, Beis Yosef Lahava, that Beis Yaakov and Beis Yosef, the Mashiach ben David and the Mashiach ben Yosef, both of them are going to lick with the flames that are going to be the flames that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash and the flames that build the Beis HaMikdash themselves. Be'esh Nisrafu Be'esh Yabana, Not secret, and there's going to be 2 more stages of Gerushin, of Garish Ha'ama Hazois Ve'asbana, of dispelling the place of Yishmael out of the Metzias of the spiritual moment, Ha'ama Hazois Lilis Shifchara'a, that other side of negativity, Ve'asbana Yishmael Miad Shazei Yishaber. Immediately, when these things fall apart, Koyach HaMashiach Yitchazik, the Koyach HaMashiach is going to be revealed, Shene'emar Boi Va'ani Nasachti Malki Al Hartzion Al Tzion Harkachi, that I have anointed my king Mashiach on Hartzion in my holy mountain. But in that time, Hashem Lamelech Al Kol Haaretz, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to reveal himself to be the king upon all of the land, above and below. Bayom Hahu Yeh Hashem Echad Shmo Echad, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'chaydo Yiv'atzmu Kav Yachad, the Yachad B'Metzias, and Shmo Echad is the secret of the Yachad B'Shlita. The Ani and the Ayin are both going to be Megala together. The Das of Moshe Rabbeinu, She is Avir Sheker Min Ha'olam, and all falsehood is going to be tossed away from the world, revealing the Emes La'amisa. Rebbein Koil Ha'olam, a master of all of the worlds. Liyishuascha kivinu kol hayom. Liyishuascha kivinu kol hayom. We yearn for your salvation, as Yaakov Avinu said when he saw the neshama of Shimshon Agibor, who stands corresponding to be mevatel klipas aplishtim. Liyishuascha kivisi kol hayom. Liyishuascha kivisi Hashem. We yearn towards your redemption. Nira b'simchas shchinascha lirois b'toyuv b'chirecha. We are going to merit to see the joy of your shchina and to see the goodness of your chosen people. Liyishuascha kivisi Hashem. Towards your salvation we yearn, Rabbeinu Shalom.